What's up, everybody? This is Josh Brown. I'm from Stanley Pentecostal Holiness Church, and I want to talk to you today about youth evangelism. We think about evangelism, we think about preaching and sometimes big crusades and big arenas of kids. And we see in the book of Matthew, 28th chapter, that Jesus told us to go out and to make us disciples and to evangelize, to reach out to those. And we live in a day and time that most teenagers, they've seen everything, they've heard everything the church has got to offer. And oftentimes we want to get very creative. We've all brought in the bands. We've all brought in bring in as the big speaker that we can afford, and to try to partner with other youth groups and do latest lock-ins and things like that. And at the end of the day, we look back and we say, how successful was this? Did we reach this group of kids? Did we reach the number of kids that we wanted to reach? And did we reach just Christian kids, or did we reach students that don't know anything about church? But I think we live in a day and time that the students that we are reaching, the teenagers that we are investing in their lives, are at a place that they want to be relational. And we've got to remind our students that right now, the time in their life that they're in middle school and high school, that they are in one of the largest mission fields that they'll ever be in at any point in their life. And they are walking with the students that oftentimes don't look like them, the ones that God has called them to evangelize to. We see in the book of Luke that Jesus taught us the importance of leaving the 99 and going to get that one. At the end of the day, when we've got all of our teenagers together, there's always another one out there that needs to be reached and needs to be evangelized and needs to be brought in. And so how do we do that? Because we live at a time that teenagers, regardless of the number of text messages they send out, the number of tweets they send out, they want to be relational. And I think I want to talk to you about just a different approach to evangelism. I know we want the latest and greatest and the biggest youth group, but I think we have to get back down to just the basics, that it happens one-on-one. It takes time to invest in one teenager's life. It takes time to pour into one teenager. It takes time to spend time with each teenager and pouring into them and knowing what they've got going on in their life and what they struggle with. Because one thing that we try to do is we try to tell our teenagers to go out and to evangelize. And we can't share something that we don't have. And I think that oftentimes we want to tell our teenagers, well, bring your friends to church, or bring your friends to church and get them here. But we're never equipping them and showing them how they can go out and how they can reach their friends and how they can be ministers and missionaries in the high schools and the middle schools that they're in. How they don't have to wait to get their friends to youth group on Wednesday night in order to witness to them, that they can witness to them and minister to them right there in their hallways. But they can't share something that they don't have. And we've got to get back to the basis of teaching our kids the basics of what Jesus Christ did for us on Calvary. Once they wrap their minds around what Jesus did for them on Calvary, and absolutely everything that they will ever need was conquered on Calvary's hill, and that passion begins to burn in them, and they see that their friends that may not live the same way they do, their friends that are partying on Friday nights, their friends that are doing things with their girlfriends they shouldn't be doing, their friends that are caught up in some bondages that they just can't seem to break free from, their friends that didn't grow up in a church like they did. When they begin to see that those friends, Jesus died for them as well, but if they don't accept Him as their Lord and Savior, they will die and go to a place called hell. When that passion begins to burn in our teenagers and the teenagers that come to our youth groups, we won't have to worry about trying to bring in the big crowd, because God will bring them in, because our teenagers are going out and reaching out to them. And they're sharing something that is burning passionately inside of them. We're oftentimes trying to get teenagers to sell their friends on something they don't completely believe in the first place. And so the word evangelism means to jealously preach. And our teenagers they can preach with the way that they live their life, with the way that they walk down the hallways of their school, with the things they send out on their text messages. That's how they're living out their life. They're preaching a message with their life. And so we have got to pour into our teenagers, into our youth. Instead of just trying to, at the end of the day, say, we had this number of teenagers at the lock-in, or we had this number of teenagers at this event, and we took this many, and they come back home and they kind of scatter, that we begin to to pour into our teenagers one by one what it means and what Jesus did for them on the cross. And then us as youth pastors go out and live it. We're spending times in the high school. We can't expect them to come and get on our turf if we're not willing to go to their turf. If you'll go to the high schools and you'll get in the lunchrooms and you'll spend time with your teenagers and you'll go to ball games and you'll spend time around your teenagers and know what they like and know who their friends are and let their friends know that you're not just concerned about just getting them a part of your youth group, but you're concerned about their soul and you're concerned about who they are and what they struggle with. You may not see the big numbers coming in, but you'll begin to build relationships with teenagers in your youth group and in your community that may not ever come to church, but they build a relationship with a youth pastor in their community that they feel like they can relate with and they can go to and talk to. And as youth pastors, our job, teenagers may not ever remember one message that we ever preached, but they'll remember the things that we've done for them, the time we've spent with them. And I want to encourage you, youth pastors, never take for granted the one that strays away. They can never get too far from God, and they should never get too far from us, regardless with what they're going through. And I want to encourage you never to give up on those kids, and keep on pushing on, and keep on reaching those students in your community that nobody else wants to have anything to do with.